After completing their graduation, most B.Sc Biotech students look straight at pharma companies for jobs. But manufacturing is only one part of the biotech industry. A large section of life science workforce, which includes biotech students, works behind the scenes of drug development. They help test new medicines on patients, follow up with them during treatment, record and check the information collected, and make sure safety rules and paperwork are followed properly. These roles sit inside contract research organizations or CROs, and the sector employs thousands of biotechnology graduates across India. So in this video, we'll begin with an overview of CRO industry, what these organizations do, and why they form a major employment ecosystem in clinical research. We'll then explain why CROs actively need B.Sc Biotechnology graduates, the entry-level roles you can realistically aim for, the skills you need to build to work in clinical research, and how salary progressions and career growth typically happens in CROs. Before we continue with this video, a quick note that might help you plan your career better. Since pharmaceutical companies are usually the first job options most biotechnology graduates consider, we have put together a separate video breaking down pharma roles, starting salaries and career growth. You will find the link in the description. Let's dive in. Why contract research organizations hire B.Sc Biotech students? One of the biggest reasons CROs value biotechnology graduates is their strong scientific foundation. B.Sc Biotechnology graduates already understand how medicines interact with the human body. This helps them understand why patients are monitored closely, why side effects must be reported immediately, and why every response to a medicine matters. They are also trained to think about patient safety and risk. So when CROs track adverse events or safety signals, biotech graduates understand why even small changes matter and why accuracy is critical. Biotechnology graduates are comfortable handling biological data, recording observations, checking results, and interpreting information carefully is something they have already practiced during their academic training. They are also familiar with structured procedures and protocols. Following step-by-step methods, maintaining consistency, and documenting work properly is a normal part of their learning process. Another important strength is attention to detail. In clinical research, small errors can have serious consequences, and biotech graduates are trained to work with precision and accuracy, which helps them greatly at work. Finally, they are comfortable working in regulated environments. They understand that healthcare work is governed by strict rules, guidelines, and documentation standards, and that compliance is not optional. Contract research organizations in India. India is one of the world's leading hubs for clinical research and trial support services. Contract research organizations, also known as CROs, based in India, support drug development programs for pharmaceutical and biotechnology companies across US, Europe, Japan, and other regulated markets. Indian CROs are deeply involved in the execution and support of clinical trials, handling large volumes of patient-related work, trial data, safety reporting, and regulatory documentation on a global scale. Indian CROs commonly provide multiple services: clinical trial operations and site coordination. CROs support sponsors by coordinating with hospitals and investigators to run the clinical trials, manage patient visits, maintain trial records, and ensure study protocols are followed correctly. Then, patient safety and pharmacovigilance support. On behalf of sponsors, CROs monitor patient safety during trials by tracking side effects, adverse events, and safety signals by ensuring timely reporting to global regulatory authorities. Clinical data management and data review. CROs handle large volume of clinical and biological data generated during trials, validating and reviewing the data to ensure accuracy, consistency, and readiness for regulatory review. Regulatory and compliance driven documentation. CROs prepare and maintain trial documentation in line with the global standards such as GCP, helping sponsors remain inspection ready throughout the study lifecycle. Global trial support from India. Indian CRO teams work as part of global trial programs, supporting sponsors, hospitals, and regulatory bodies across multiple countries, making India a key operational hub for international drug development. Careers in contract research organizations for B.Sc Biotechnology graduates. Contract research organizations provide some of the most accessible entry points into the healthcare and clinical research industry for B.Sc Biotechnology graduates. In this section, we'll break down the key CRO roles you can start with, explain what the work involves on a daily basis, highlight the additional skills that matter, and show how these roles can develop into a long-term career with strong growth potential. Let us look at clinical trial assistant. If you are interested in how new medicines are tested on patients, the role of clinical trial assistant is one of the most common entry points in CROs for B.Sc Biotechnology graduates. In this role, you support clinical trial teams by managing study documentation, tracking trial activities, coordinating with internal teams and hospitals, and ensuring records are complete and compliant. Entry level salaries typically range from 2 to 3.5 LPA. With experience, you can move into senior CTA, clinical operations executive, clinical research associate, or clinical project coordination roles. Beyond your B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, you will need to understand clinical trial workflows, GCP guidelines, documentation standards, and basic data tracking tools. Strong organizational skills and attention to detail are key. This role is ideal for graduates who enjoy structured work and want a strong foundation in clinical research operations. Now, another role is clinical research coordinator, also known as CRC. Let us have a look at it. If you prefer a role that is closer to patients and hospitals, the position of clinical research coordinator may be a better fit. Unlike back-end roles, CRCs work directly at trial sites, coordinating between doctors, patients, sponsors, and different teams. In this role, you will help schedule patients' visit, ensure study procedures are followed at the site, support the investigators with trial documentation, and act as a point of contact for day-to-day trial activities at the hospital. Entry-level salaries for CRCs typically range from 2.5 to 4 LPA, depending on the site and location. With experience, clinical research coordinators can progress to senior clinical research coordinator, site manager, or move into sponsor side and CRO clinical operations roles. Beyond your B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, you will need strong communication skills, patient handling awareness, protocol reading ability, and good clinical practice understanding. This role is ideal for graduates who are comfortable interacting with doctors and patients and want hands-on exposure to how clinical trials run at the ground level. Now let us look at a different role, research assistant, research associate. If you are more interested in the scientific and analytical side of clinical research rather than trial coordination, the role of research assistant or research associate is better fit. In this role, you support clinical research teams by reviewing study data, organizing research findings, assisting with reports and summaries, supporting protocol related documentation, and helping convert clinical information into structured output. You are not responsible for running the trial day to day, but supporting the research work around it. Entry level salaries typically range from 2 to 3.5 LPA. With experience, research associates often move into medical writing, clinical data management, quality review, or regulatory documentation roles, depending on their strengths. Beyond your B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, you will need basic clinical research understanding, strong documentation skills, comfort with scientific literature, and attention to detail. This role is ideal for graduates who enjoy working with data, documents, and scientific content and want to stay close to research without site level coordination or patient facing work. Now, another role is clinical operations executive, junior level. The role of clinical operations executive is the junior level, sits between pure support roles and senior trial management positions. It is focused on executing operational activities. In this role, you support ongoing clinical trials by updating trackers, coordinating operational activities assigned by senior team members, following up on site related tasks, and ensuring trial activities move forward as planned. You work closely with CTAs, CRAs, and senior clinical operations staff. Entry level salaries for junior clinical operations executive typically range from 3 to 5 LPA. With experience, you can progress to senior clinical operations executive and over time move into roles such as clinical trial coordinator, clinical project coordinator, and eventually clinical trial or project management roles. Beyond your B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, you will need a good understanding of clinical trial workflows, GCP basics, Excel based tracking, coordination skills, and the ability to handle multiple tasks accurately simultaneously. This role is ideal for graduates who want more responsibility than a CTA, exposure to how trials are executed across teams, and a clear growth path toward clinical operations roles. Now, another role we are going to talk about is clinical data management executive. If you are comfortable working with data and prefer structured and system driven work, the role of clinical data management executive is the strong option within the CROs. In this role, you work with clinical trial data collected from hospitals and trial sites, ensuring that the data entered on clinical databases is accurate, complete, and consistent. Your work focuses on data cleaning, validation checks, query handling, and preparing datasets that are ready for analysis and regulatory review. You do not generate the data yourself, but you ensure its quality and reliability. Entry level salaries for clinical data management executives typically range from 3.5 to 6 LPA depending on the CRO and project complexity. With experience, you can progress to a senior CDM executive, then move into lead data management or clinical data manager roles, handling larger studies and mentoring teams. Beyond your B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, you will need to build skills in clinical data management, concepts, CRFs, edit checks, database workflows, strong Excel skills, and basic familiarity with clinical data systems. Attention to detail and logical thinking are critical in this role. This role is ideal for graduates who enjoy working with structured data, spotting inconsistencies, and ensuring accuracy, and who want a career path that is less patient facing but offers strong growth and global relevance. We'll understand one more role, which is quality control analyst. If you are a detailed oriented and interested in ensuring that clinical research is conducted correctly and compliantly, the role of quality control analyst in clinical QA is a strong fit within CROs. In this role, you review clinical trial documents, processes and records to ensure they meet regulatory standards and internal quality requirements. You are not involved in running trials or handling patient data directly. Instead, you focus on checking compliance, identifying gaps, and ensuring issues are corrected before audits or inspections. Entry-level salaries for clinical QA analysts typically range from 3 to 5.5 LPA. With experience, you can progress to senior QA analyst, then into compliance lead, audit specialist, or broader quality management roles within clinical research. Beyond your B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, you will need a solid understanding of GCPs, SOPs, audit processes, and regulatory expectations, along with strong documentation and attention to detail. This role is ideal for graduates who prefer reviewing and improving processes rather than executing them, and who want to build a career focused on compliance, quality, and inspection readiness. Another role is a pharmacovigilance role, drug safety associate. The role of drug safety associate is specialized position that focuses on monitoring the safety of medicines during the clinical trials and after they are approved for use. Unlike entry-level operational roles such as CTA, this role requires a deeper understanding of medical events, safety reporting rules, and regulatory timelines. Drug safety associates review reports of side effects experienced by patients, organize and interpret medical information, and ensure that safety data is reported accurately and on time to regulatory authorities. Because this role directly impacts patient safety and regulatory compliance, CROs typically prefer candidates with strong medical or pharmacy backgrounds. However, B.Sc Biotechnology graduates can enter this field only after building focused pharmacovigilance skills and demonstrating clear understanding of safety workflows. Entry-level salaries typically range from 3.5 to 6.5 LPA, reflecting the higher responsibilities and specialization involved. With experience, professionals can progress to senior data safety associate, then into roles such as safety scientist, pharmacovigilance lead, or drug safety manager. Beyond B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, success in this role requires formal training in pharmacovigilance, medical terminology, global safety guidelines, ICH, FDA, EMA, and hands-on exposure to safety reporting systems. This role is best suited for graduates who are willing to invest in upskilling, are highly detailed oriented, and want to build a strong term career in patient safety and regulatory focused clinical research. Now let us look at medical writing, junior or trainee medical writing. Medical writing is a specialized role that focuses on creating clear, structured documents related to clinical research and drug development. These documents are used by regulators, sponsors, and internal teams to understand how a medicine was tested and what the results show. As a junior or trainee medical writer, you support senior writers by working on sections of clinical documents such as study summaries, safety narratives, and regulatory reports. The roles involves converting scientific and clinical information into precision written content rather than running trials or managing patients. Compared to entry-level operational roles like clinical trial assistant, medical writing requires a strong writing ability and regulatory awareness, and is therefore not a default entry role for most of the B.Sc Biotechnology graduates. Entry-level salaries typically range from 3 to 5 LPA depending on writing skills and organizations. CROs prefer candidates with advanced degrees such as M.Pharma, PharmD, MD, or those with prior writing exposure. B.Sc Biotechnology graduates can enter in this field only after significant upskilling in medical writing formats, regulatory guidelines, and structured scientific communication. With experience, medical writers can progress into senior medical writer, lead writer, and later into regulatory writing or strategy roles. Beyond your B.Sc Biotechnology knowledge, success in this role requires advanced scientific writing skills, strong grammar, understanding of clinical document structures, regulatory guidelines, and excellent attention to detail. This role is best suited for graduates who enjoy writing, are willing to invest in skill development, and want a document driven, globally relevant career in clinical research. How to prepare for a career understanding CRO workflows before you enter the industry. B.Sc Biotechnology degree gives you a strong scientific base, but entering a CRO requires something more specific. CROs expect entry level candidates to already have a basic understanding of how clinical research workflows from start to finish. This is because CROs operate in a highly regulated environment where every task fits into a predefined workflow. Even entry level roles support these workflows, not isolated activities. To be considered job ready for CRO roles, graduates need to be familiar with 4 key workflows. Trial execution workflow. Before entering a CRO, graduates should understand how clinical trials are executed in real settings. This includes knowing how hospitals, investigators, and CRO teams coordinate trial activities, follow predefined protocols, and track trial progresses. Understanding this workflow helps graduates see why timelines, documentation, and protocol adherence are critical in day-to-day CRO work. Clinical data flow. CRO roles involve working with clinical data generated at trial sites. Graduates need to understand how patient information is collected, recorded, reviewed, and prepared for regulatory use. This isn't about advanced data analysis. It's about understanding data accuracy, consistency, and traceability, which form the backbone of clinical research. Safety reporting workflow. Patient safety monitoring follows strict reporting pathways. Graduates entering CROs should be aware of how side effects are identified, documented, reviewed, and escalated within defined timelines. Understanding this workflow is essential because safety information directly impacts regulatory decisions and patient protection. Documentation and compliance workflow. In CROs, documentation sits at the core of organizational function. Graduates need to understand how SOPs, trial records, and compliance documents are created, maintained, and reviewed throughout the study. This workflow explains why CRO roles demand precision, consistency, and adherence to global regulations. While CROs train you on internal tools and systems, companies expect you to already understand how clinical research workflows operate and why every step matters. Graduates who enter CROs with this workflow awareness adapt faster, make fewer errors, and are trusted with greater responsibilities in early their careers. For B.Sc Biotechnology graduates, opportunities span across industries from pharma and healthcare to food, environmental biotech, and research. If you are curious about the full spectrum, we have created a detailed video that breaks down the career paths across these industries, the roles you can step into, and what it takes to succeed. The link to the video is provided in the description. For most CRO roles, a degree alone isn't enough. What makes the real difference is understanding how CROs operate, how workflows function, and what is expected in a regulated, process-driven environment. At Clinilaunch, our programs for life science graduates are designed to bridge this exact gap. We focus on helping B.Sc Biotechnology graduates understand clinical research workflows, documentation standards, data handling, safety processes, and regulatory discipline. The areas CROs expect candidates to be familiar with from day one. By combining your biotechnology foundation with this workflow level and industry ready understanding, you don't just improve your chances of getting hired into a CRO, you position yourself to adapt faster, take responsibility sooner, and build a stable, globally relevant career in clinical research. Thank you for watching.
Visit us today, www.clinilaunchresearch.in.